Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 20th episode of the HSBG podcast. I'm your host, Educatedcollins, and I'm here with my constant co-host, Shady Bunny. How you doing?
I'm doing really well, man. How are you?
I've gotten really good at that intro. I feel like I say it every time. It's smooth now. I feel like I've got it done, but I'm doing okay. After as well as I am, I'm late, unfortunately, for this episode because of reasons. But what can you do? I'm here now. Hey, that's.
We're within the half-hour margin. It's all good.
I didn't know we had a half-hour margin. I wasn't aware.
I don't tell you because then you'll take it every time.
That is true. That is absolutely true for sure. So yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, we always start with the weekly Battlegrounds overview. Just a little bit of what you've been doing this week. I've been okay, I guess. I think the rush or like the new car feeling of the prizes and all the changes kind of settled down there, and it's kind of stabilized, at least for me, where you know go to 6, get my dragons, get 4 of them, that kind of thing. Or stay on the 4, get, I don't think there's been like a huge shift for me in terms of like the comps that I'm playing, right? Still, you can still go on tier 4 and do that stuff. You can still go on tier 6 and do that kind of stuff. It just kind of depends on, how good or how, I guess, the RNG and like, do you get your triples or are you getting good heroes that can allow you to do that kind of thing, right? And if you are, then the game plan hasn't really changed too much. But if you're not, then you kind of have to play a little bit defensive and go for the other safer plays. But yeah, it hasn't changed too much.
All right. It's not exactly the same experience I've been having. For me, it feels like there's been a meta shift or so. Like I think I had I don't know, maybe a week, 2 weeks where I wasn't really experimenting too much, where I felt a little bit stuck on autopilot. And this week I've started really, observing like, okay, what's going on? When am I dying? When am I just falling short? And I've been trying to push tier 6 more. I guess I feel like I'm just being blown out a little bit too often. Like, we're going to cover prize, lobbies today, but those especially, those feel like I've tried to just visualize like, okay, what is the nastiest high roll I could possibly manage here, and I was like, okay, let's try to steer it in that direction, because it feels like any sort of tempo gaming and prize lobbies feels so like, yeah, I saved some health, I saved some health, I saved some health, I took 38. Okay, that did not matter whatsoever that I saved any amount of health. So the tier 4 game plan overall feels a little worse in the prize lobbies. Really feels like you want to have a really good shot for first, or at least just have these nasty boards so you can counter their nasty boards.
Yeah,
But also, yeah, go ahead.
I'm not really going for tier 4 in prizes anyway, so that's why it feels normal, because I wasn't going for tier 4s anyways. I was trying to get the nasties, because it's just like someone's getting on the house into a double tier 6, right?
Someone's going nutty.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to deal with that eventually, right? So either you're hoping that they kill everyone else before you, or you're the one doing it and killing everyone else. So that game plan hasn't really changed, right? It's just the issue is like when I know I can't get to on the house, or I don't hit on the house, right? Then what do I do, right? How do I survive there, right? So it's not necessarily like a shift for me, right? It's just like being aware of, okay, am I the bully? No. Okay, well, I need to do something else, right? I need to find a way to become the bully, or I need to mitigate not dying instantly to the bully. Sometimes that's the game plan. Oh, I will fight the guy who kills everyone and then not die, right? So if you are at 30, right, if you can take 26, well, okay, we're good now. I just have to fight the dead guy. Oh, I didn't hit the dead guy. Oh, now I'm dead. But yeah, so it's a little bit less. It's not a happy feeling where you're like, well, I just need to not take 36 here. Like, yeah, well, sometimes that doesn't even work. So yeah, it can be rough, but yeah, it's still the same for me in that I knew that was.
I suppose the shift for me is just that I guess I'm trying to get it a little bit more consistently by just being strong and getting to tier 6 and then just rolling into the good stuff. I guess the shift there was before, for me to have a high roll game, I would need to triple
You
into the
need
6, and then
triple, yeah.
maybe and then maybe I would eventually end up on 6. Whereas now I'm trying to, obviously tripling into 6s is a lot of the time still great, especially with Eliza, but it's no longer a prerequisite. If I can just, get Harbinger Acolyte, the stuff we covered before, you're an Omu, you get Harbinger Acolyte. But now just on, let's say I'm playing a Lich King or I'm playing an Alakir, anyone that just has a little bit of help where you don't lose that much health early, I try to just be on 6, right? Sometimes it'll be 6 on turn 8 or something silly like that, where it's just going in, right? And then you take a hit, but then you stabilize, and suddenly, you get those rolls. You're on tier 6. I don't need to tell you this,
I
right?
know.
You see what I'm seeing kind of roll, and you're like, hey, let's go, baby. So yeah, I guess
Yeah,
I guess for me that's new, right? So I'm discovering the wonders of tier 6. Yeah.
that's very fair. All right, let's move on to our next topic. We're gonna go straight into like analysis, and we're just gonna talk about some of the stuff. I think the hero I want to talk about was Zarella, just because we talked about her a little bit before when she was introduced, but we haven't really talked about her afterwards. And there's a growing list of heroes I cannot pick because we've already picked, so I have to be more, choosy with my heroes. And a lot of times the heroes that are like left are like heroes that no one really touches, So it's like, I really want to talk about this hero that no one's really going to play, no one's really going to take advice or take the advice of, oh, this hero avoid. That's my that's my advice. I want to pick some heroes that you can actually use and maybe learn from. I think Zero is definitely a hero that has that advantage where sometimes I pick her up and I don't really feel bad about using her or running her. Right? It's not a hero that I feel bad to play or anything like that, right? And that one of the reasons might be because it's very similar to Yogg in that aspect where it's like, oh, 2 mana get a hero. Oh yeah, I like that. I like Yogg a lot, like, probably the most in like the player base that really streams and stuff like that. I play Yogg a lot, probably the most. But this one has a very similar hero power in that you're spending 2 mana to get a hero from the shop and then do that. And it's a little bit like in the early game, there's advantages and disadvantages. Right, Yogg I'd say has bigger stats in the early game, right, where you're just like, oh, my 2/4 is now a 3/5. Oh yeah, I'm not losing.
You're gonna
Yeah,
win way more fights.
yeah, yeah. But being able to choose the minion you want, especially in the mid to late game, is really that's where it starts to really shine. Like in the early game too, it's pretty good. Like if you can get like double token start a lot easier. Where with Yogg you can have the RNG, right? If you do get it with Yogg, it's like insane, but it's not as consistent with Zarella, where if you get it with Zarella or you see it, you can get it, right? So it has that advantage in the early game, but in the mid game when you get to choose what you want, especially if you're like leveling, hero powering something, and then choosing exactly which one you want, right? Bronze Wardens and stuff like that, really, really good with the hero power. So it has that big advantage, and if you can level quickly, get to high Tavern tiers, and you can really take advantage of this hero power. And even in the late game, things like Faceless, right? It's like, oh, 2 mana Faceless, yeah, I'll take that, right? 2 mana, Selfless, whatever, I'll take that, right? 2 mana tokens. If you have some type of token synergy, let's say you're playing Nomi or something, you hear the self or whatever, the water
Yeah,
droplet card,
like
yeah.
brand jugs,
Yeah,
just go 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 go.
super
Value
super
value value.
value, yeah. So there's a lot of advantage to the mid and late game where it really shines. That the early game isn't horrible, right? You still win fights early just because you get to pick whatever you want, right? You hero power things with death rattles, so, or tokens, right? Tokens are better with this hero, right? So
So I might have a different experience with Zarella where I feel like my fights are usually fairly bad. Maybe I'm just like super greedy pair gaming, a bunch of things that aren't very strong because they're tutus. So I feel like for me, a lot of the time, the experience is kind of just hit your triple or die trying. I don't know, but probably because you play more Yogg, you're playing her in a Yoggier fashion where you're picking up things that keep you alive along the way.
yeah, I'm definitely playing her more like a Yogg that I get to choose than a triple bot. So I'm using I'm using the hero power early like just to stay strong, right? You can stay on one with Yogg, right? Same thing with her, right? If you get like the acolyte start, right? You hero power acolyte, you get a token, right? You hero power token, get another acolyte, right? Now you're not losing that first round. You're not losing turn 5 a lot of the time, right? Because you're having 4 units, 2 acolytes, and a token. That's a 2/2, right? You beat up most people, or you tie most people, things like that, right? And then, the turn afterwards, right? You get a free row, right? So there's a higher chance you hit like any of those good spawns or anything like that, right? If you hit a spawn, right, then you're good to go, right? Then you can it's usually when you're like turn, I guess 6, turn 7, when you're like level hero power, right? That's when maybe the unless you're hitting like if you're hitting any of the scaling or any of the really good divine shield units, right? Like bronze and stuff like that, then you have some scaling or you have a good standalone unit. If you're not hitting that, then maybe you're losing that fight, right? And then it's more of like you have a turn or two to hit the triple and then go from there. If you don't hit the triple, then maybe
Yeah,
you're gonna fall behind. Yeah.
I think the way how I play her, I think I want to. Do you play like full tier 1 very often, where you
No.
level twice on 7? Okay, cool. So it looks really weird when you see people do it. So I think it's pretty useful for the listeners as well to just have this explained how this works. Because sometimes you'll see streamers stay, like let's say with a Zyrella or a Hook Dusk, you're somewhat comfortable. You don't level on turn 2, you level on turn 3, and then you're just back on a normal rhythm. The level costs 1 more after that, but it doesn't matter because you're Zyrella or Hook Dusk and you make up for it. The curve I'm talking about stays on tier 1 until 7 gold, and then on 7 gold it will level and then level again. And in order to do that, you just need to sell 1 minion. So the level is cheap enough for you to just hit the button, sell something, hit the button again. And I'm starting to think that, like that curve, for instance, is amazing with Bronze, just because you get all the tokens, right? If both tokens are in, you're rolling on tier 1, and you're fairly realistically, you're gonna have the Alley Cat triple and the Murloc Tidehunter triple ready, and you're gonna have the brand proc because
So
you
you're
just
getting
want to buy
four
Battlegrounds.
drops with the triple.
So if you're really pressured, you can do that, or you just level, hold, and then the turn after level, boom, go off, get 5s, because then you're getting double 5 drop, kind of like in a bit of a Jandis fashion, right? It like Jandis is my benchmark for when I'm like, all right, how much bullshit is this, right? So Jandis gets 2 5 drops on 8 gold. Brand, if you're following that curve, gets 2 5 drops on 8 gold. So depending on how your health has been, you can do that, and then you're kind of like a Jandis, and you get
You'll
a brand guaranteed. So
yeah. You take a
yeah,
lot of damage, though, huh? That's
not
the
necessarily. It depends a little bit, right? Because sometimes you're just gonna have this nutty start where you just have you have everything straight away, and you might even go up earlier, right? You might even go up on 6 gold, and then you just have economy because you hit all the tokens, and you can make the triples already, so the board space and stuff is not that much of an issue. But yeah, so it does happen that I take the forest, right? Like earlier today, I took the forest because it was too sketchy, but the curve wasn't that clean. Like I wasn't getting the perfect rolls. Because if you get the brand super early, that's an extra true 4 on the board. You might be able to use rock pools, right? +2/+2 instead of +1/+1. Anyways, I digress, right? But that curve, I think, right, I need to experiment with it. But I think Zyrella is probably going to appreciate that curve more the way how I play her. Because right now, I get the pairs and then I'm leveling, so I'm less likely to see the triples. And then I'm like, well, I'm either hitting them or I'm dying. So it seems quite more likely that I'm going to hit them on tier 1 and then do the 7 gold double level thing. And you're back on track after that, because on 7 gold, what do we do on 7 gold with a normal curve? It's 4 gold to tier up and we buy a minion. That's 4 and 3. And in this curve, it's going to cost, I think, 1 gold to tier up and then another 7. So you'll pay the 1 gold, you have 6 left, you sell a unit off the board, you tier up again, and you're on track there. You're exactly on the same point someone on a regular curve is. So while it might seem a little intimidating, definitely something cool to try if you just keep getting a bunch of minions on J1. You're like, I kind of want to keep buying this, right? These are pairs, these are potentially triples. And yeah, you can hold the triples a lot of the time to get either 4 drops or 5 drops if you're feeling a bit more ambitious. So I think that's how I would play her right now. If you get good minions, right? Sometimes you just get stuff on tier 1, you're like, I really don't want to stay here. And then I think you just do your version of Zyrella where it's a Yogg and you're going up, and dragons are in. You're hoping to get the bronze ward, and you're hoping to be strong. But I definitely want to give her a try with that. I think there's a meme going on where people call it Chinese curve, right? The double level on 7 gold. If you get into the subculture of BG streams. So yeah, we can call it that, or just like 7 gold double level, whatever.
Cool. I don't know what.
What I'm supposed to say to that.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, I throw it out there. Yeah.
Definitely something to watch out for. I don't see that too often. I guess maybe I don't watch enough, but sounds fun.
Omu does it really well. It's really weird.
Okay. Well, Omu, yeah. I mean, I can see
Omu, because you're getting paid to level at that point, right? It's like hit the button. He doesn't need to sell anything.
Yeah, makes sense with Omu, especially if. I mean, I'm assuming you're focusing on tripling, right? So you're focusing.
Yeah. I mean, okay. So for anyone listening, be like, oh yeah, this looks really good, and they're like, oh, this is so bad. The point is, you have a triple right at the end of that, right? So you can level and cash in, get an early 4, get an early 5, or at least have it frozen in the shop, right?
Or giant Wrathweaver, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe my Murloc Stout, that could happen too, and then eventually you triple a Wrathweaver. You gotta be doing something on tier 1 that's gonna make it worthwhile, because other people are buying 2-drops. So if you're just buying 1-drops and you're not tripling them, you may as well have been on tier 2. So
just want to let people know. Just don't have
disclaimer,
a plan,
right?
Yeah.
Don't just stay on tier 1 if you're not gonna try triple.
Sure. Sounds fun. In terms of Zarella, though, I think it's a playable hero. It has a lot of strategies, apparently. Some I didn't even know, but I like the hero. What about you?
Yeah, for me, I think you described it perfectly. Where I don't hate to pick it, but I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, Zarella, right?
It's not a Jan. This is what you're saying.
It's not a Jan. It's not an Omu. Not a Hook Tusk. But it's. You get that, you get Sky Captain Crag, and like I will still take a George, right? I'm still gonna take Skamarak or however, whatever, right? But
Kazam Zarek. I used to not know his name.
Kazam Zarek, right? So I'll take those, right? Comfort picks. But then you take Zarella, just because she can do some, especially with pirates, and she can just get super early Eliza. Like I think heroes that can triple so easily, like her. They just really benefit from pirates and then in consequence elementals / beasts out to just have higher percent for that Eliza pull.
But you want elementals in so you can have elementals in, Sometimes
that is true. That is very true. Good point you make there. Elemental and Alley Cat, right, are both actually pretty good pulls on her. So maybe for her it's even better when elementals beasts are in, and you just take 5s or so.
I've realized that Omu loves elementals, actually. Like, it's one of the heroes where I'm like, oh, elementals are in, good. I can go to 6, get double Little Rag Genie, and just win. Like, the amount of Omu gamers I've seen with like an insane elemental Little Rag comp is like really high, and I'm like, oh, it actually makes sense, right? Because you can get so many triples. On. Yeah, you can level to 6 easy, and you can just get 2 elementals, 2 Little Rags, a Genie, you're good, and then you're like, I just win. Like,
this is the thing we've been saying about elementals, right? They get shat on by a lot of people, and some small part probably because we shit on elementals, but when they go off, it's very good, and if you are on 6, it's either elementals, Caligos, or like Bran Amalgadon, right? If you could just choose, or maybe Eliza's. But a lot of the time, Omu is just great at going to 6.
I guess beasts are also like you get the. It's not as good. I agree. Like it's more like you triple a 5 into a Goldrin, and then you have like a Macaw, and then
it doesn't really feel great that you're rolling on 6 and your beast, and you're like, Amalgadon, like, I guess Primal Fin, okay, I guess you're not really using that, right? But if you're playing this, you're like, oh, popping up, baby, let's go. And a good point in chat is being made, by the way. Hamul with elementals. Whoa!
Oh yeah, that's the
empty
reason.
That shop.
That's the real reason. Screw it's the fact that you get Hamul with elementals. It's probably the best tribe, right?
The guard. Well, I've had plenty double Hogger Hamuls, and those are pretty fun as well.
No one plays Pirate Hogger, so that's
yeah,
what I'm talking about. It's the only real archetype that actually uses humble is elementals. Pirates are
Whoa.
some lost cause that no one plays. Only some fringe gameplay right there. Elementals, yes, that's the
I
humble
run out of time
difference.
all the time now with Pirate Hamul. Sometimes I just have a Hamul ready for next turn. I'm
Exactly,
just
and
like, I can't do it.
who wants to do that? Who wants to be like, oh yes, I'm gonna play this and run out of time every game. I'm going to 8 p.m. to the best of my ability and feel inadequate because it's not enough
Love it.
every
I
turn.
love
Like
it.
no one's doing that. It's elemental. I'm elementals. I have 2 rags. My board is the tavern is all elementals. Oh, that's so good. Let me buy them all. That's what people like to do, not this double hogger shenanigan thing that no one does. That's my point.
Sure.
Anyways, I guess you can do pirates, but Zerella fun. Or was that the point? I don't think. I don't think that was.
The point was going to 6 elementals because we were talking about tripling. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds
Let's
good.
talk about the next card.
Yeah, we're talking about Warden of Old. Is the mini we want to talk about? I think this card's interesting because I like it early, and then if it's not early, I don't like it. That's like my general thoughts. If for some reason you're tripling 2s and getting a 3, and it's like turn 5 or turn 6, free gold. Like you'll keep it until like turn 7, maybe turn 8, right? It's like an extra like 3-4 if you're super committed or lucky, right? At 5 gold, and then you can use that like sometimes to like level the 5 roll and like get something, or sometimes you're trying to level, you have like a triple and you need like you have to sell something, right? If you have the gold in your hand, you don't have to sell anything, you can just immediately get the 6 and not the only thing, the issue I have with this card is that it just falls off hard, right? If you keep it for long enough, it definitely doesn't help you, right? And sometimes I don't know, you're like beta to keep it, right? At least for me, I want to keep the card, and I know this is not helping me, and I keep it a little bit too long. But generally, if you get it early, it's good. But then the later you get it, right, the less value it is, because if you're taking it over like a stronger card, and you're only keeping it for like 1-2 turns, it doesn't really make
Yeah,
that huge of a
you're
difference.
putting down the initial 2 gold deposits, so it doesn't really make sense if you're not going to get it back.
Yeah, so I do think it's a good card. It has some synergies like Macaw. I've seen it work, but
Yeah.
usually, anytime I see someone have a Macaw, it's like spawn Macaw Warden, and I'm just like, yeah, you maybe you want to hit the spawn, right? I see
I don't
this
know.
so
I've
often.
had it. I've had it, and I'm just like, I'll take it. I don't mind.
Yeah,
Ah,
I know, I do it too. Like, I'm like, I don't care about the stats. I'll just take the gold, right? And I'm just like, I took, like 5 extra
how about
damage.
7 damage? 7 damage from the coin. I mean, that's a deal, right? Literally. You're like, wait,
Man.
literally takes 2 for a coin. I just took 7 for a coin.
Yeah, so it I don't know. It sometimes baits me, is what I'm saying, but I do think it is an interesting card. It has some design aspects.
I like here with the parrot and the money
Oh
maker.
yeah, I've seen that too. I've seen that too.
Yep,
Okay.
I've done it. It's
There's
good.
so many games where I see someone with like spawn coin baron and they die.
Oh yeah.
And they die with the with the engine. They're just too greedy. They're like, oh, I get 5-6 coins a turn, let's go, and then they die. Right? They have like 10 coins in their hand and they're dead. And it's just
Like essentially like the dream, like what you're doing if you're in that spot, right? Because I've been in that spot, I see others be in that spot, Colin sees others being in that spot. You have that one turn where you pop off with the gold, and then you just
you
like
have to
replace the
sell
money.
everything, yeah.
Yeah, just replace it with like egg or something, and then you're just like printing eggs with the macaw, right? It's something cool. You gotta switch to a high pressure battle cry. So, or you just like, I don't know, get harbingers or something, because you're essentially you're open forting at that point, right? Like you're not actually running any combat units. It's all just economy, and that can be amazing if you I would say that's more like an advanced play. I'd say like stay away from that if you're not feeling comfortable with it, because you do need to do a lot with that gold in one turn to justify, the damage you've been taking, generating all that gold. But it can be cool, right? I've seen people do it successfully when, I've seen JJ like doing a really clean transition out of it. I've seen Lee do a really clean transition out of it. So it's definitely possible, but it's difficult. So gotta
People play
gotta be
this
prepared.
hero like it's Death Rattle, add a coin to your hand, deal 3 damage to a random enemy. Like that's how they play it. Like, oh yeah, let's go. Makan friend, we'll get the coins, we'll deal 3 damage to people, and then they're like, wait a minute, none of their minions are dying. Like, where's my where's my damage? Where's my juggler proc? Like, that's how it looks like when I watch people play. It's just like full greed, make sure I get as many coins, but then they take me.
I think this mini is also cool if you're playing Galakrond and you zap the 3-drop and you're like, wait a minute, I can get the money.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
because you can get it very early. If you're doing this opener where you have say a Elemental and you're buying, selling, and hero powering straight away, you can get it as early as turn 2.
Yeah.
Turn 2 coin lady, right? And suddenly you're, ooh, cool, I have 1 extra gold every turn, sweet. Of course, you could stay alive, or people could power level, so it's not guaranteed an extra gold. But hey, then you're winning rounds, so that's not so bad either. I suppose.
No, it is bad. You want the gold. No.
It's awful. Like, oh.
That is one, dude. That's one of the worst feelings, dude. Oh,
Yeah,
that is something
really
you should
is.
mention, right? This thing has to die. So sometimes you play with this and it doesn't die, and you're like, no, my money, my value, dude. Oh, that's a great point you bring up. It doesn't always die, especially if you feel strong or stuff. Like you gotta put your thing in front or in awkward positions. So it's like, okay, I put this second because I guess.
Yeah, and there's like mind games where like, oh, but if they have an acolyte, it's gonna be like 2-2. So then I put it third, so it doesn't hit the acolyte.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You remember we had a game where I put it second or something, and then it went into like a 2-3, and I'm like, oh shit, you were so right. I should put it back. So yeah, you do have to be aware that it has to die. So it's not pure free 1 gold every turn. You also have to play around its ability, and whenever you're stronger than your opponent, it's not a guarantee that it dies. So
I think like early in the game, third is fairly safe because I think acolyte is such a common minion.
Yeah,
but I mean, honestly, it's one of those things where you always want to ask yourself, how greedy do I want to be? Do I just want a position for combat purposes, or is the entirety of my position revolving around making sure that the warden dies?
That's mine right there. I am.
It's like, all right, you guys all have 1 goal and 1 goal only, right? Make sure this minion gets me my money.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah, that's how I look at it for sure. So yeah, it's always sad when it doesn't die. I cry a little bit inside, but yeah, generally I think the minion is playable, especially early. The later on you have it, the worse it gets. So.
Really cool early game minion for sure, and there is some efficiency as well with Reno. If you level to 3-on-3 with Reno, some people really enjoy hero powering this minion.
I did it once.
Yeah.
It was okay. I won. Yeah. I won the game. Yeah. So
well, it's kind of like a golden pagel in that thing where you get like 2 gold. Like golden pagel obviously much better because you're like stronger and you get maybe 4 cards, right, or more, right, if you have the dream. But yeah, like I can see it. It's like a very, very early golden pagel in terms of economy.
I tripled into it early. I will say it was not like I rolled into a hero, or did I roll into hero power? I don't remember, but it was a while ago. I don't know.
Taking a 3 on Reno seems very unCollinsy.
Right? Sometimes if I have like triple token start or something like that, I'll just take it on sure. 5. I mean, that's usually what happens. So, but I do remember doing it once, and I won the game, and I was like, oh, this worked out. But now, as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, when would I ever hero power it? That's what I thought when I'm looking back. Like, why would I hero power? I do remember doing it, right? But
I think another hero that's very like fun with this is Lich King.
Lich King, yes,
double the money.
That's exactly what I do as well. That's for sure. Lich King as well is a very good hero with this. Anyways, we're talking a lot about this card. I think it's playable. Don't get baited into it later in the game, but early game perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Next topic is we're going to be talking about prizes. So I was initially planning on talking about every single prize in the game, and then I was doing it, struggling, crying myself. It's like this is too much. This our podcasts are already long. Like these are long. I remember we used to have hour podcasts. I'm like, oh yeah. Now it's like double that. I'm like, wow. And now as I was doing it, I was like, yeah, it's gonna be way too long if we do all the prizes. So we cut it into two sections. We're gonna do the tier 1, tier 2 prizes, which I think are the most important anyway. So who cares about the other ones, right? But um, then we'll cover the rest of the prizes probably next week or something like that. But just wanted to give like a little overview of prizes, right? We've had it for a little while now, so I think we're all used to it when it pops up. Definitely prizes are the more crazy games, but that's just due to you're getting more stats, right? You're getting more value, you're getting more stats and things like that, right? You're going to be stronger.
Curves get accelerated as well with the gold, so yeah.
The games are crazier just due to the nature of getting free stuff. Everyone gets free stuff. Oh wow, this is a stronger board than I normally have. Yeah, of course, because you have more value in your game. So you just have to be aware of that, right? But the issue is that people are strong, right? So if you're strong, you're taking a lot of damage, right? There's no comeback mechanic. We talked about it last time where if you get on the house or 2 on the houses, let's say you're taking this, you get 2 6 drops, hey, you're gonna kill people, right? Like there's no you can't really avoid that damage there. If your opponent has 3 6 drops and you don't, and they all survive, or most likely they're all imp mamas. That's what happens to me, and I just like don't kill the imp mama. It summons a 5-drop, and I'm taking an extra 11 damage from the 1 6-drop that he has. Just it's like that's not fun. But yeah, that will happen. So you just have to be careful. But I say you have to be careful, but is there really a way to like be careful when someone has a bunch of like high-powered minions?
Well, sometimes you just have this thing where I guess I could level here, and I'm probably not gonna take 28. Like, yeah, in a prize lobby, it's somewhat more likely you're gonna be taking that 28. Right?
On turn 8, I think turn 8, turn 9. Yeah. Those are the turns where you just get blown out.
You have to ask yourself, right? Like, if you have your prize and you're just like holding an evolving tavern, for instance, you have to think, what did the other guy do, right? Maybe they played their evolving tavern and did buy 2 6s or something like that. So you do have to be a little prepared for that, where if you're sitting there, it's like, okay, I guess I'll just level and hold my tavern, and then next turn, yeah, that's when I'm going to go off. Like, that might not really work out, because the opponent might just have the craziest turn ever, where they get like Brand's Blessing and they're making a bunch of triples with tokens or God knows what, right? So it's all is fair game in those.
What I find annoying when I'm like, okay, I'm like 26 or something HP, right? I'm like, all right, so I just need a turn to do it, and then I take like 24, and I'm like 2 HP. And I'm like, well, I can't play risky anymore. Like, I can't just level or do it. And it's like turn 7 or turn 6, some early turn where I'm taking ungodly amounts of damage, where I'm in single digits and I can't play aggressive anymore, right? Because if I do anything risky and I lose one battle, I get unlucky one time I'm dead. So I have to play safe. But I know if I play safe, I can't win. So it's like you've like locked me into like a 5th place at best. Yeah. And it's like I had it, like if I had that one extra turn where I could like play a little bit risky, maybe take like 10 damage that turn, right? Then I could pop off. But since I took way too much damage, I can't do it. So I'm locked into like this like low win percentage gameplay. So that annoys me. Yeah, because it's like too early to die. Logically, right? Like you could die any turn, but like it feels too early to be taking 20 plus damage when it's like turn 6 or something, right? But sometimes people have that set up, right? And it's like you can't kill a single minion. You're like, well, now I have like 8 HP. I can't do anything risky. I can't lose one battle randomly, and then it's like, well, what can I do, right? That
sometimes you just need to embrace that though, and be like, well,
embrace it though. I hate it. It's pain.
Like you just have these games sometimes where you're on 1 or 2 health, and you're just like, well, okay, well, just don't lose, right? Like just
Yeah.
assume that
See,
we're gonna high roll. Yeah.
but the games where I'm at 1 or 2 health, right? I have a piece, I have a setup. I have a 6, I have a 5, or some,
Yeah.
I have the brand or the life fang, whatever, right? It's the turn before I get to triple, that turn
All
where
right. Sure, sure.
where I can't even go for the triple
Like,
anymore.
yeah, you were going to level to 5, buy it, and get a 6,
Yeah.
but you're on 2 now, so you're gonna be dead. Like
Yeah.
even if you find the Caligos, you're dead. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel that. I feel that.
that is so pain.
So, or you say like, I guess I just take a 5 and I roll a 4 then because we're
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. And those are pain for me. So I don't know. But that's not even like generally prize gameplay, but it can be. It happens more often in prize games because like you'll have a Obu who has, who already has a 6 on 9 gold, right? And then on 10 gold, they're just gonna have 2 more 6s or something. It's like, yeah, okay, but it's just generally, prizes do allow for some crazy gameplays, so you have to be aware of that. It's kind of difficult to do some like normal comps, right? You need some type of a powerful comp, like a winning comp, to able to just survive, right? You need a winning comp to survive a lot of the time, or you'll get blown out, right? Those prizes are um those are a lot of games where multiple people will die at once, right? You'll have like 3 people die or 4 people die, right? Those are usually in the prize games because you have the people that hit the good stuff and the people that poor suckers, right? Don't get anything, right? And then they match up against each other, and then they get blown out, right? And then so you'll have like 3 or 4 people dying at the same time, right? So those are usually what I see in that, but generally, I don't hate prizes or anything like that. Do think some of them could be adjusted or removed, even just to make things a little bit more fair. There are some prizes that I don't think anyone really takes realistically, but we're gonna talk about a lot of them, so we'll kind of have our own opinions on some of these prizes, but we can get into it immediately. I think the first. Oh right, first thing we talk about. There's some heroes that get better with prizes. Yes, and these are off the top of my head. I'm sure Shady, you might have some different heroes or anything like that, but these are some of the ones that I think do well. Ticketus, I think, is kind of obvious because you have double the chance of hitting some of the good prizes, right? So if you're looking for some prizes or some prizes you want to stack together, right? Ticketus, you get twice the value, right? I mean, every time I play Ticketus prizes, I've pretty much seen on the house, like almost like at least I'll get it once. So and if you get double on the house, that's fun. As long as you don't die. You remember that one where we died the turn we had. Alex Straza, I think, works well because you can get extra gold, right? So sometimes with Alex Straza, you want to level as fast as possible, or you can either not level as fast as possible, like play it normal and just try to be healthy without a hero power, or you can level as fast as possible, try to get it you get to early 5 and try to hit the nuts, right? Hit the Caligos, right? They also said that they changed Alex Straza where you have a much higher chance of getting Caligos than before. Apparently it was a lot lower, and they changed it or reverted it back to normalcy, so there's a higher chance of
Okay.
getting.
That is, I guess that's fair, but it's also good to note where you see more Alex high rollers. Or
Yeah. I was wondering why, and I was informed that they reverted it. They used to be a lot less, but now it's like equal. It's balanced or so, and I'm okay with that because
Yeah.
I like the lazy game plan. Hit the 5, get Caligos. All right, now we're done. I kind of can't play, but yeah, that's interesting. And then Mutinous, I think, is an interesting one where the good stuff is really good with Mutinous, right? Because every minion that you're taking has the 2 health buff, so
Yeah.
it buffs it a lot, and just like you can make bigger minions as well in prize lobbies, so it's a lot easier to just be like, oh, let me eat these kind of things.
Well,
So
I do feel that, but I feel like Mutinous in general isn't really a prize lobby kind of hero because he feels like more the rock steady tier 4 om nom nom kind of guy where it feels like you still just get blown out with prizes even if you hit the good stuff where yeah, okay, I get 2 health.
I've seen a lot of really good prize mutinous in my
Okay.
game, so
Maybe I'm just like too rigid in my approach
I
then,
think
right? Where
mutinous is good in general, anyways,
yeah.
right? So maybe just the people that are playing mutinous, they're just like, oh yeah, prizes, sure, it just works out
Whatever.
better for them,
Easier.
yeah. It's like
Could be.
playing Jandis, they'd be like, oh, prizes, yeah, whatever, I'll just get
Yeah, I
prizes.
mean, I do like her even more when prizes are in right now. I
But
think for me in general, it's just heroes that just
level
do
quicker.
bullshit right really
Yeah.
well. So, well, for me, what prizes are a lot of the time is they smooth turns where oh, this turn is awkward, but I have 2 extra gold, but I discover a 1 drop, but my board is slightly stronger, or et cetera, et cetera. So something like a Jandis where you're playing Gotcha Gift and you pull a token anyway, and you're like, oh, cool, like we can work with this. Or you're playing Millhouse and your economy is weird and you can't really level and buy. Hey, now you have coins, you can do that. Or hey, here's Gotcha Gift. You can sometimes on Millhouse you'll even just hold Gotcha Gift where you have 2 to 3 tier 1 pairs, and then on the 8 gold turn, you level the 9 gold turn, you open a Gotcha Gift, and you're like, oh, cool, I have triple now, and I can just without being weaker and having to hold a golden one the whole time, you just held the prize the whole time, and then boom, you just get a 6 drop. I mentioned Jandis. I think Gallywix is another one where Gallywix just needs that little spark at the start, right, to get the snowball rolling, or bad analogy or whatever, but yeah, Gallywix get a little bit of extra gold, get a little bit, get an extra minion, and suddenly you have that effect where you've sold a minion, so now you have more gold, so now you can sell a minion, and then you have more gold, so then you can sell them, etc. Where sometimes you feel kind of trapped with Galley, where you're like, oh, I'm not using my hero power, I'm not using my hero power, this is awkward, and then prizes can help with that. So, like, it'd probably be my number one where that just gets better in prize lobbies,
Guys,
where
okay.
Galley pops off in prize lobbies.
I haven't seen that, but I bet you're right.
I've done it. We should do it together.
Yeah,
It's
we
fun.
should. We definitely should. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about some of the heroes because there are some heroes that do get better. There are probably heroes that get worse, but that's not our topic. I haven't thought about it at all.
For instance, an Edwin. Like an Edwin is like that stereotypical where you just kind of want to sit
Oh,
onto
and
your phone.
KT as well, right? I
Yeah.
remember when
Like,
KT was with prizes. I was like, you just get prizes that are better than KT's ability. So it's like,
yeah.
why even run KT if prizes are in? Yeah, like that. That's true. So there are heroes that get worse as well. So you do have to be aware of if prizes are in. What you want to play and what's good and things like that. So that is something to keep in mind. But yeah. Next topic, we've got so the prize adjustments, right? So we talked about this before. Now they're in, right? What are your thoughts on the actual implementation of these adjustments? I gotta say I don't really notice it. That's just my thing. I haven't noticed.
So we have talked about this, and my stance hasn't like changed too much about it. I guess I am just a little bit more okay with losing the round on turn 7, just so that I can dip into that higher percent discovery. But most of the time, what I'll be doing in prize lobbies is I level, and either I'm gonna win while leveling, which is good. I get save health, or I get better prize. So it's not something that I'm losing too much, sleep over. It's not something that I'm thinking about all the time. I still think that it's probably a little bit too, accommodating for the power levelers to give them better
Uh,
prizes because
It's
naturally power leveling is already good.
It's probably because I power level like all the time, so like I don't notice it because I'm always just getting the good stuff. So I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. I got the good stuff. Yeah, got on the house this time. I got on the house this time. Yeah, no, I don't
Yeah.
mind it, shady. I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me. Like that's probably what's happening in
Yeah.
my head.
I mean, if you want to adjust your playstyle to it, and if your playstyle already fits it, then hey, That's great, right? So
not sure these are the right ones to remove still, but hey, whatever. I mean, I'm not caring too much.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna be talking about all the tier 1, all the tier 2 prizes. Just kind of our thoughts on it. What do you think, if it's good or not? That kind of thoughts, because we've done that with all the new heroes, all the new minions, right? Prizes kind of skipped over just because it was too much at the time, and it's still too much. Like, can you imagine if we also did the prizes? You know? There would have been like a 4-hour. Oh my god!
Quite the stream.
Yeah, not feasible. Maybe not, but maybe it was. But whatever. Let's just get started. So the first one we talk about is Big Banana. So I initially was like, oh, let's make it for the gems, right? That's what I suggested.
Yeah.
I still wouldn't mind that. I don't think this gets picked that often, to be fair, right? Like, you're only picking it if you, I would say, like, you tripled into a 3 and it has a divine shield, and then you just put it on that.
Yeah.
I think
like
that's
Flecto, Bronze Ward, and
yeah.
maybe Ritualist or something.
Yeah, like, I think that's usually when it's getting picked up. It's not a super popular prize to pick up, so I don't know. Like, I still wouldn't mind if it was gems. Like, I think it would be picked more if it was gems, just because, like, you can get Tusk Tusk and put it on it immediately, and then if gems is something you could use later in the game, and you can swap gems on stuff. Vol'jin would love this now. It'd be like, oh yeah, I'll take that. So it would just be picked more. I don't
They'd
think
have
it
to
would.
make a big blood gem, you're saying, or two individual gems.
I would rather have 2 individual gems, but if you want, I would say 2 individual gems, because, like, if you made a blood gem, that's more work, more coding for our poor, Blizzard coders. You don't want to do that. Just put in something that already exists, very easy to implement. You have no effort required, little effort, instead of making a whole new card, a whole new effect. Just have something that's already in the game. That's what I would say. It's also a little bit more flexible, which I like.
I think that's fair, honestly. I think that's fair.
Yeah, because right now it's not really picked or anything like that. So
no, I think your analysis is pretty good, where it's pretty much you either have this really good minion for buffing, right, and then you miss on the other prizes. That's pretty much the only time you'll play this.
Yeah, pretty much. So we don't have to, like, stay on each prize for, like, minutes or hours. We can just, like, talk about it and move on. Yeah.
Chop. Let's go.
Yeah. 2 out of 5, maybe. Would you give it a rating?
I guess we can just, like, give our top, like, 3 or something, right, at the end of every tier, or just say, okay, like, my personal favorites in this order.
Gotcha Gift is our next one. I think this one is really good. I think this is, if we were saying top 3, this would be in there. Just because, like, you discover a minion, right? So you're getting stronger, right? But then the minion is also at minimum a gold as well, right? And then also it can be a pair or a triple or something. And then best case scenario, you're getting a token, right? So your board gets stronger. You get the 2 gold anyways from, like, pocket change. And then you also get to, like, synergize with things on the board, right? So sometimes you'll have, like, a molten rock or the other party element or something. You get a Celemental, you're like, oh, 2 gold, and I buff my board, and it synergizes with spawn, etc., etc. Oh, I could level here. Oh, I get a scat or a scallywag, or what's it called, swabby. Oh man, this fixes my curve. That there's so much, like, little advantages you get from this, right? So I think this is, like, one of the best hits. If you don't care about, like, your board strength or anything like that, I think this is one of the best hits you can pick. So I really like this one.
The flexibility is huge, right? Like, you have a South Sea Captain on your board, like you said. Oh, suddenly the Swabby both fixes my curve, and it's a 3/3 tokens, right? You can do that. Party Elementals, Elemental pulls. The list goes on. So yeah, extremely versatile and just really good prize.
5 out of 5.
Sure, I mean, for a given rating like that.
Now, this doesn't mean take it every time, but isn't that what it means?
But you wouldn't be doing poorly if you'd be
Yeah.
taking
If
this.
you take it every time, honestly, I think it's fine. To be fair, but yeah, it's a good. I think it's one of the better prizes in the tier 1 show. Next one we've got Might of Stormwind. This one I think is interesting. You can talk about this one initially if you want.
Fell off a cliff, to be honest. Went from must snap pick every time to I think I want the other thing. So yeah, sometimes it makes sense, but there's so often where I look at my board and I'm just like, I mean, I really don't want it above this one. And whenever I have the feeling, it's like, I don't want it above this one, then I usually tend to go with one of the other prizes. Now, sometimes, it's like big banana, extra minion in the shop, and Might of Stormwind, and you don't have this great big banana target like we talked about. Sure, I'll give +3/+3 to my boards. I'll take Might of Stormwind, but it's not something that I'm super excited about right now, mainly for the thing where, yeah, if I could individually target the buffs, right, where let's say it's 3 small bananas or whatnot, yeah, it's suddenly a lot better. But just sometimes you have this Murloc Scout left on your board, this token, and you're just like, ugh, I'm planning on selling this, 1 or 2 turns down the line. I really don't want to be buffing it right now. So
I completely agree. I think this has become bait. Unfortunately, I think three +1/+1s are not good enough. Unfortunately, just there's too many bad hits, I guess, and then the +1/+1 isn't a game changer a lot of the times in the battles, right? Like if you're strong, this isn't like going to change it, right? In the old one, when it buffed your whole board, you would win battles where you wouldn't have won because you had it. Now
yeah.
here, a lot of times you're like, I might tie instead of losing, but that's not guaranteed anymore, right? And other people are getting like gold or stats or things that are like they're gonna use it to power up sometime later in the game, or they're gonna have like some extra gold that you don't have, right? And the stat you get isn't. I don't think it's enough of a justification. So it's not a prize that's doing particularly well. It's kind of a bait. It gets picked reasonably enough, but it doesn't provide that game swinging effect that it used to have. I think maybe if they buffed it a little bit, maybe if they made it 4, would that be enough, right? What do you think about that? If they change it
4,
from 3 to
yeah.
4, I
I,
think.
I I think I think at 4 I'd be picking it a lot more,
Yeah.
because I think a lot of the time you just have 4 minions on the board at that
Yeah.
stage
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think 4 makes it way more solid.
Yeah, I think that's what I would do to this prize at the moment, because right now it doesn't feel that impactful compared to like getting gold or something like that. So I think it could use a little bit of a buff, but yeah, I think it's kind of
Yeah.
bait, right? It used to be the best, so people are still picking it up, but it doesn't provide that same
Well,
effect.
we had the flag meta, so I honestly don't really mind it to
True,
be the
true,
weaker one.
true,
So I
true,
don't think
true.
we need the balances right now. But, flag had its, whatever, 2 months or something of his spot in the in the
Sure.
limelight or whatever.
I think that's fair. We've had the flag meta and it was atrocious, so I agree
Yeah,
with
it was
you.
like, oh,
Yeah.
my opponent got a flag. My
They
opponent is
won.
good at the
Yeah,
game. I am
yeah.
not good at the game. Damn.
I agree. So I don't mind if it the one of the weaker prizes, to be fair. So yeah, that's true. But I'd say 2 out of 5 as well. Maybe even less. Maybe the baiting potential might be 1 out of 5. But yeah,
That sounds about fair. Sure.
not a crazy card. Next card we're talking about is New Recruit. So I used to like this card actually. Back like in the initial what is it? The initial prize before they added it back in, like back in initially. I used to like it. I was like, oh, you can get more triples and stuff like that. But I think nowadays it doesn't feel that good because like kind of the meta is like leveling to 6 anyways a lot of the
Yeah.
time. So once you get to 6, you already have a big board of minions to choose from. So the new recruit kind of falls off. That it still works when you're at Tavern 6, but it's like kind of unnecessary. And a lot of times you're not buying units in the prize. You're like leveling and buying one thing or something like that. You're not rolling or anything, so you're seeing like one extra minion a lot of the time. It doesn't provide a crazy buff as much as you want, right? It's only when I don't know. There are some cases where it's usable. Like I'm not saying it's a horrible or never pick it, right? But it's not at least the current meta for prizes where you're leveling a lot, the value that you're getting from it isn't that much, I would say. What's your thoughts?
I think it just you don't get an immediate return, and that's the problem. And these prize lobbies where stuff is just happening way too fast, and if you take a prize, let's say you take this and someone else takes the good stuff, or someone else takes the coins and buys an extra minion or levels a bit faster, you're just taking damage most of the time because
Right.
you're
That's
going from a
true.
long-term investment, and then suddenly you find yourself like taking an extra 3, taking an extra 4, taking an extra 5, and then suddenly you're like 15 health or something down, and you can't afford to be doing that. So I think this is just like 0 out of 5 or something, just because you get no immediate return in a super high tempo environment. It's
And another
uh,
issue is that it's not guaranteed value, right? It's like, oh, in 3 turns, get an extra minion or some type of value, or like you're RNGing the value as well, right? Where it's like, oh, I might get a triple that I want, or I might get an extra bronze or something, right?
yeah.
You're not guaranteed to get the value, so you can pick it up and then it does nothing for you, right? So it's like you didn't get a prize. So that is also pretty bad. And someone else is
Like
like,
I think the time you buy this is, if like the other two, like I'd still have to look at the other two, right? Like whichever ones like would be terrible. But let's say your shop is just like bad, or you have one minion that you want to buy, or like maybe I can throw another minion in the shop, because that's something we didn't mention. It is immediate, right? So you do immediately get another minion offered. So I think the only way this card is semi-redeemable is another minion pops in the shop that is suddenly viable. Eh,
you can also level and use this in CL3.
maybe, yeah,
I mean,
maybe.
I guess I've seen that
Yeah,
happen.
it's not Toki or anything, right? You're not
Yeah.
guaranteed to get a 3. And we all
Yeah.
know the feeling when we level and we roll and there's no 3 drops. They're like,
What if it said add a minion of your tavern level to Bob's Tavern for the rest of your game? What about that one?
so it would be Toki, but for the regular thing. So the final minion in the tavern would
Would
always
be
be one.
would always be your tavern
Yeah,
level.
that's certainly a lot better. Yeah,
Yeah, I
because then
think. Why are we fixing these carts? What they're not
we're not
charging
getting
us.
paid for them. What the hell,
I
man?
know it's ridiculous, but yeah, that would be a lot better. I think you'd see people pick it up at that point.
Yeah,
Um,
because then you can hold it and you can like level new recruit.
so yeah, and then
Yeah.
you'd have some
That would
value.
actually be really good, because you would play that on 8 gold. You would buy that and you would hold it, and then, or you would take it and you would hold it, and then on 8 gold you would level the 4. You'd play this 4-drop would pop in the shop, and you'd buy the 4-drop.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily have to hold it, but I mean, I see what you're saying. You could hold it,
You
right?
probably would it,
Yeah,
yeah, to
yeah,
force it.
yeah.
Oh no,
So
it would, but no, yeah, because when you level it
when
would,
you
yeah, but
level, it wouldn't work. Yeah.
I think I would hold it, yeah, for that
Okay.
reason.
Yeah.
Just to spike the 4-drop there. Anyways, like talking about a hypothetical
Yeah, but
card,
that would
like,
be
what would be the
interesting.
optimal way to
That would
yeah.
be interesting. But right now, I don't like it at all. I don't think it doesn't do enough quickly or anything like that. So yeah, not a fan. Maybe 1 out of 5, maybe 2 out of 5. I don't know. Not
I'll
one.
throw the 0 out of 5 just
Yeah.
symbolically.
Have I picked it since prizes have come? No, I haven't. I haven't
If you
picked
have
this.
to ask.
I have not picked this card since prizes have come in, so maybe that means something. Yeah. Next card we're talking about is Pocket Change. I think this card is reasonable. I pretty much use it to fix my curve. It's not necessarily a tempo thing, right? If I'm taking Pocket Change, I'm pretty much leveling that same turn and then buying a minion as well, or something like that. Sometimes Omu with Pocket Change, it's like, well, I have so much gold, I can level every turn and not like care, right? Because sometimes with Omu, if you're leveling every turn, you have like that, like I have extra gold or I have 2 extra gold here, I can't do. Well, if you have 2 extra gold, you usually sell something, right? But I have 1 extra gold, I can't do anything there. So
Yeah, it essentially means with Omu that you can level buy instead of
yeah,
level sell buy.
yeah,
So it's 2 extra minions. It's extremely good if
yeah,
you're going fast Omu
yeah.
card.
So this fixed a lot of curves. Good with Alex Straza. You can now You can now get a 5 very quickly. Same thing with pocket change, right? Pocket change is the same thing. That's why it's also very good way you can now fix your curve with minions instead of just gold, right? Because the minions at least you
You're
get
talking
some power.
gotcha gift. Right?
Gotcha gift, yeah, that's what I meant.
Gotcha
Yeah.
gift. Yeah.
So I think it's a pretty good one. I would say I pick it reasonably often. So I think this is one of the better tier 1 prizes. Even though I think gotcha gifts better, but I wouldn't mind like getting this one as well.
Yeah, I'd probably give this 4.5 out of 5 or something.
I give it 4, maybe 3.5. You're too loving of it, you know. But yeah, you're probably right. I would say 4.5 is probably
That's
fair.
good. I like coins. I find myself taking coins all the time. But,
I take gotcha gift over coins. Yeah, most of the
sure,
time.
but we gave that a 5, so
Yeah, that's true.
fair.
That's true. Next one, rocking and rolling. This is a Millhouse specific prize. You know, I've actually taken it on some other heroes. Where I hated the other choices and I was dying and I was like, well, I need to hit.
You were dying when this was offered. Yeah, you're in a really bad spot.
I mean, it was rough, dude. I didn't know what to do. I had to. Did I level? I think I leveled on and took damage, and I was Tavern 3 or something like that. And so I used this to roll and try to hit some 3 drops. I think that was.
I think that is acceptable. I think if you power leveled, this thing suddenly has potential.
Yeah. But other than that, I don't like it that much personally. But Millhouse, I know you don't love it, but I think it's okay.
The reason why I don't like it is you're not rolling on Millhouse, realistically speaking, until
late in the game. Yes, but you get to roll 5 drops or something. That's crazy.
But you're just you're sitting on it, and other people are beating you.
They're not beating me because of Millhouse, and I have free value, free stats. You know, because I buy more.
I can kind of see it, right? I think, sure, obviously, if you're going to be holding it, you're better off holding it on the house, and the value of power leveling on 5 gold, and then on 6 gold, you get to fix your shop. I think that's also fair. But I still, if I'm playing Millhouse, I'll still much rather take the 2 coins.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, those are 5 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5.
For sure, but the problem is you mentioned this like, oh, this is a great Millhouse prize, and people see this and be like, oh, well, snap it, right? Of course.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because this is the thing, right? People do the math and be like, the coins are only 2 gold. This is 6 gold, baby. The choice is easy, right? But it's like, it's 6 gold, like so far down the line, dude. It's like, that's not good, right? The 2 gold that you get to invest now could be worth a lot more money later because you get to save health and you get to set up your triples, etc., etc. So, yeah, I'm not as big of a fan. I'm just trying to be cautious where we don't tell people like, oh, if your Millhouse is a must pick thing because it's 6 gold, because the math doesn't really work that way.
Well, if you're Millhouse, this is not a must pick thing. But if you don't get gotcha gift, you don't get pocket change, you don't get the good stuff, or anything, maybe you take this one. It has some value, but it's not the best thing. But it is sometimes playable with that hero, or if you hyper level and you're at 3 gold and the options are bad, and this is what you have. Maybe this can get you double Bronze Warden or something like that. I don't know.
Get the double sensei or something.
Yeah, you can pretend to be AFK. Get 2 3 drops. But yeah, I would say maybe 2.5, maybe 2. Not the greatest. Actually, it's probably, I don't know if it's even 2. Maybe 2, 1.5. It's not something I look for.
1.5 is probably fair.
Yeah, it's not something I look for at all. So I'm not happy to pick this, I guess, is my issue, right? This isn't like, especially when there are better hits, right? It's like, this is what I have to deal with. It's not the best hit for me, so I'm not happy about it. Next topic, lol. Next prize, we have the good stuff. Now, this used to be +1 health. Now it's double that, and not as great anymore. It's pretty much not played. It's still bad. No one picks it up anymore. So yeah. Any thoughts, Shady?
5 out of 5.
I just gave it a scaling negative review, and you're saying, oh yeah, what Colin said, 5 out of 5. You're like, what?
I love this card, dude. I don't know if you were joking, but I think this shit is OP right now. Like 2
Yeah.
health is so
All right,
good.
let me. You're correct. I was not being honest there. I think this card is busted. Actually, kind of
so good.
not fair. I'm surprised how weak or how like unimpactful the 1 health felt compared to the 2 health, right?
Well, we talked about it, right? You turn a 1 into a 2, and suddenly it's broken, right? That's how Hearthstone works. You change a 1 into a 2, shit's broken now.
That's so true.
But there's an easy way to represent this, right? You look at the flag, which gives you like +3/+3, but this is you're already getting 4
4
health,
health,
and that's
yeah.
in 1 shop, and then the next
Yeah.
shop it's another 2 health if you're leveling, and after that it's another like 6 health or something. It's just it skyrockets how much, and then when you triple, your
Yeah.
minion feels just stupid good because you're
Yeah.
getting the
Yeah.
double buff combined.
Oh,
It's
man.
all kinds of.
I remember buying like a 3/7 juggler, and I was like, what's wrong with my juggler? I'm like, why is it so?
Why is it so huge?
Yeah, I'm used to the 3/3 stat line for so long. And I'm buying a 3/7. I'm like, what's going on? Yeah. So yeah, I agree. I think it's the best one. I would say.
Yeah.
Just out of
It's the new flag. This is
Yeah.
the new flag.
Yeah.
For sure.
Pretty much. It's value that you get immediately, and it also scales for the rest of the game. So it's just a good prize. This is what you want to be looking for, right? I would say if you were gonna top 3 it, right, it's this one, Gotcha, and then Pocket Change.
No, I would say that's a very fair top 3.
Those are the top 3, I think. The other ones, ignore them. The
other one's not so top 3.
Yeah, these are the ones you want to see. The other ones don't really matter, unfortunately. But yeah, so still kind of the same problem because some of the prizes are OP and some are not. So if you don't hit the OP ones, you're in trouble, right? Same problem, right? It's just different prize. Now, instead of might, it's not good stuff. So, what can you do? Blizzard, fix these.
Take it as double good stuff. Oh,
that's true. Yeah, I have not hit that. I've not hit that, unfortunately. But yeah,
that's gotta feel so good.
Yeah, that's gotta be nice if you hit the double good stuff for sure.
It's like the double flag from before. Where you just pop up.
Yeah, you just start leveling.
Yep,
because you're not losing. But yeah, definitely 6 out of 5, maybe something like that.
Yeah. If we're allowed to go over 5, it'll go over 5.
This is our podcast. We make the rules.
S tier, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, but this is definitely one you want to be looking for if you can hit it. It's definitely super solid, super strong, super good. So yeah. Next, those are all the tier 1s prizes. So the tier 1s, they're impactful, right? I wouldn't say they're game deciding, right? I mean, maybe good stuff can be, and maybe the bunny as well. Okay, they are kind of game deciding, but I think
if it's a difference between you being able to level healthy or not, right? Then it's game deciding, right? Because that's what happens in prize lobbies. The people that can't level, they fall behind.
Yeah. So the turn 8 prizes, the tier 2 prizes, those are also game. Those are, I would say, the most game deciding in terms of like whether you win or lose, or you get blown out or you don't, right? So do have to be careful for these ones. It definitely does matter. And with the leaderboard adjustments, if you're in bottom 4, right, you half of the prizes you like are removed for you, so you don't have to worry about that. So it's a little bit better there. In the tier 1s, it only removes Big Banana and something else, right? Do you remember?
Not really a big deal, I guess. New recruits out as well.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so it doesn't matter that much.
You don't really tank damage to try and get good stuff. That's usually the play.
That's true. But the first one we're talking about, I guess it's in alphabetical order or something. I'm guessing is Brand's Blessing. So this one I think is one that's kind of hard to play unless you know what you're doing, right? So You got tokens, you know, you got battle cries, stuff like that. Then you know this is one of them that you can sometimes hold in your
Yep.
hand, where you're like looking for the right turn to set up, or
Sometimes you'll just collect cards, right? You'll
yeah.
put a primal fin in your hand and you hold the
Oh
brand, and
yeah,
then like
that's
next turn
fun.
you're just that's a
Yeah,
big turn, right?
yeah, yeah. Or I see it used with battle masters as well. Where they have one battle master and then one buff, and then they're like, oh, it's 7 attack. You know, I'm gonna live or something like that. So, there are some uses for it, just because being able to double a battle cry, even one turn, can be really good if you use it correctly. So, it definitely has value. I wouldn't say it's like a useless or a bad card, right? It's a card that you have to think about while using, which I like. You know, those type of cards where you have to think about it, where it's not like, oh, here is just 10 in stats for all your minions. Haha, okay. You know, I hope you get that one. You know, this one you have to think about. But it can be really effective if you use it correctly. So I like the card. It's not a card you're going to take all the time at all, but if you identify a right moment and you have the right setup, then it's definitely a pickable one. So
Very specific, but yeah, super high potential. Like
yeah.
you mentioned it with tokens as well. It's, like Jandis, for instance. You pop this on Jandis, you play the battle cry, you swap it back into the shop, you play the battle cry again. Yeah, very good. I think I specifically did that today with Battle Master, and then I think I had tokens as well. Like I did tokens first, the triple, and then Battle Master, and it's just tons of cool things you can do with that. Of course, you just you can take off. So also really really good. So sometimes what you'll do, or this was meta before they nerfed Khadgar interaction, but I say
Right.
meta, right? But it's like
Not
meta
meta.
among like very very top tier players, where you would just buy Khadgar, buy token, reconnect into the price turn, and just be like, please give me Brasmus. Because when you do hit it, oh my god, it's like triple, 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 triple. So yeah, super cool that it feels cool to be able to do that on a smaller scale now, where you don't get, you know, 5 or 6 drops or something.
It
It's more
doesn't
like
feel as good when you
you
do
get
it.
2 6s. I think on average, when you do it, when I do it now, it's like 2 6 drops. But hey, I mean, 2 6 drops. It's 2 6 drops most of the time, and you make a little money here and there because you generate extra tokens. So yeah, I'd say a cool card. You got
Yeah.
to know when to use it, like you mentioned. Cool card. Wouldn't change it. Happy the way it is.
Very true. Very, very true. Next one we're talking about is Evolving Tavern. And I'm going to be right back. So, Shay, you can take it if you want.
Alrighty. So Evo is probably on average, in my opinion, not that great. But my god, can you get these disgusting boards where you just Evo into double Cali, double Eliza, Flat Tusk, and a random 4 drop that got transformed into an Agam. Oh, let's take that too. So yeah, the ceiling on this card is just extremely high. You can high roll like crazy. But a lot of the time when I pick this card, I find myself having to hold it because I didn't roll a tavern that was worth it. So yeah, not insane, but still something I pick regularly just because of the high roll potential. I think just sometimes you need to find a decent enough board where you're just saying, okay, I guess I'll take this because sometimes there will be only one 6 drop you're getting, but then there's 3 4 drops or something that turn into 3 5 drops, and hey, maybe you get double hogger. Maybe that one 6 drop is a flat tusk we mentioned, and one of the 5 drops is an agam. So still, lots of potential on the card, but not something that I would recommend to snap pick every time. We're going to talk about some other alternatives. Although I think when you go over to tier 2 prizes, there's really not that many that you're super happy about. So I think that's why I end up taking Evo. I think that when I say tier 2, I guess I mean the turn 8 prizes, right? So the second round of prizes. Yeah, in the second round of prizes, it's really just on the house and this one that really stand out, unless you have a very specific setup for Brand's Blessing. Hey, Collins is back. I can stop talking about the card.
Yeah. So, what was the
I'll,
the
I'll catch you up. Basically, I don't think the card is insane, but I think there's a lot of duds on the second round of prizes. So you
Mhm.
end up taking this one very often, and there is just an insane ceiling on the card, but oftentimes it's just kind of hard to roll a tavern where you want to roll it. So I find myself holding this card a little bit too often for my tastes most of the time.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say that I think this card can be really good, right? However, there's a lot of luck involved in that. You need to roll into the right shop, and then even if you roll the right shop, you also need to hit the right minions, right? So you have to be looking at, once again, right? What happens is that you pick this just cuz, right? And then you're like, well, I mean, elementals are in. I'm gonna, this is in, Murlocs are in, blah, blah, blah. Mechs are in, and then you hit the 6, and then the 6 is like a little rag, and you're like, well, I guess I have to base my whole comp around this little rag because now I got it for free, haha, and then you die, right? So it's a card that you can high roll, but you will have to look at what 6s you can pull, right? And is the average 6 you're going to be pulling good enough to like base your cop around? And then also, right, you have to do it quick enough where you don't die, because other people are guaranteeing hitting on the house, right? And they're going to have like a 6 they want, while you're like, okay, can I do this fast enough and get strong enough with the 6, and then skill from there, right? You essentially need to roll like double 5 and then have the 6s be good as well, which isn't super consistent, right? The thing is, though, the people that destroy you sometimes, right, it's because they hit evolving, like
Yep.
I've seen. Yeah, so
The high roll is disgusting on this card.
yeah, so you get killed by this, and then you're like, oh, I want to do it too, and then
Yep.
you do
And
it,
then
and it's not the same. Yeah, so you get destroyed, but because you get killed by the people with evolving the tavern, people pick it up a lot because they want to do it. They want to hit the high roll too, but the high roll is not likely or consistent, right? So it's one of those cards that are surprisingly can bait you. It's like it's a good bait because the high roll is there. It's a real potential of like being the strongest.
This is the same stuff when you're drafting an arena deck and
I
you
do
go
it.
for yeah. So I, like this is exactly how we play BGs as well. I go for the Yeti, right? The solid, the curve, the mid range, right? The value.
BS,
And,
useless.
and then someone else will draft a bunch of Jade minions or
Yeah,
whatever.
hell yeah.
And be like, it popped off.
Yeah.
On average, it's not gonna pop off. On average, it's gonna suck. But hey, sometimes you fight someone and they had a really good draft and the deck pops off.
Those
You're like,
are the funnest decks, dude.
yeah, and then you're like, I'm gonna do that, and
Every
you're like,
time.
0-0-3 because I didn't roll. I didn't
I
draw my shit.
draft Jade every time. No, well, I have to start with like 2 Jades early, and I'm like, well, I got 2 Jades early. Okay, I guess I'm taking every single Jade card now for the rest on. And then I have like 7. I've had decks where I had like 7, 8 Jades, and it's so fun because you're just oh, here's my 7 drop.
I think this is just like this card's represented where, on average, probably not great, but sometimes absolutely batshit crazy. Yeah. But sometimes you find the right tavern and you just roll 3 6s and you're like, God, I don't want any of these. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's true. That does happen a lot too.
So. Let's just go like Nadina zap something and you're like, oh.
Yeah. You know what's annoying? Zap's in every game.
Yeah, that's true.
I can't get rid of this card, dude. Oh my god, Zap's in every game. Why isn't there like a neutral tab where you just cut off all the neutral minions up? Get rid of the Zap.
The perfect meme for this would be the one where Mo kicks Barney out of the bar, be like, get rid of that Zap, and then it just stands behind him back in the bar.
But yeah, generally, I think the card. Do you think people would perform better if they didn't take the card?
See, that's what I was talking about, where I don't think there's actually that much good stuff on tier 2. It's just like, like spoiler on the house. And then like, what else are you taking? Maybe 5/5 for tempo. Maybe Bran if you have the setup for it. So I end up taking Evolving Tavern a reasonable amount of times.
Right. That's why Evolving Tavern's so picked.
Yeah, because there's so much trash. There's so
Yeah.
much trash in the second wave of prizes.
I want to talk about Rat. I'm waiting for Rat to come in so I can just rip on it. But yeah, I think you take it just cause there's
The risk is bad.
realistically, yeah, like this is one of the only cards that can give you a win con. You know, a lot of times it doesn't, but it's one of the only prizes where you're like, okay, I don't have a plan. This can give me a plan. So you still end up taking it, even if it's like, well, you're gonna lose, but at least you have a chance of winning, right? And
Yeah,
some of
at
the other
least
prizes don't
maybe.
give you that, yeah. So you know, I take it. What do I think this is like a 3 out of 5, even though it can bait people into like 2 out of 5 or maybe 1 out of 5 status, just because like you know you pick it and then you roll your whole turn away looking for 2 5s, and then you don't hit that, you're dead because you wasted your turn.
Yeah, it just
Uh,
depends on what we rate the other cards, but I think 3 out of 5 is fair if we're just giving the other one. Well, the thing is, I think in the second wave of prizes there are so many situational things.
yeah, there's so
But
many 1 out of 5s. I agree, like or two out
yeah,
of
but
fives.
also like giving a minion +5/+5.
And taunt. I do that
Yeah,
with taunt
and
comp.
taunt.
That's the only.
Yeah,
That's the only
some,
one.
sometimes that card is 5 out of 5, or that's
Yeah.
exactly what you needed. Like you have an Eliza
That's
on the
true.
board,
That's
and she's
true.
exposed, right? You're just like, oh, I'll just give this Deflector bot 5/5 and taunt. Bam! No more sniping my Eliza. So,
Yeah,
like, it's a lot more situational
that's
stuff.
true.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's harder to rate these ones.
Yeah, same thing with Brand's Blessing, right? Brand's Blessing can be like super
We
dead, but
didn't
can
rate
also
Brand's
just win
blessing,
you.
did we?
Yeah, we didn't. So let's
Okay,
just
let's not rate these. Yeah.
discontinue the
Yeah,
trend
yeah,
of
yeah. Never mind.
these are tough to rate. It's so
Yeah,
situational.
yeah, I agree. Great deal. Um, have I picked? I think I picked this card once. I don't know. I don't play with this card enough to really value it. It feels like it's too slow to me. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. I see it
Yeah.
and I try it and I'm like, I'm not
So
like, cause I'm already on level 5 when I pick
yeah,
this. It's so
yeah.
I'm just like, why? What am I doing with this one? I'm already on 5. Maybe if you're playing a different hero that stays lower, you can actually level. But I'm like already on 5, so it's just like, or 6. Sometimes I'm on 6, right? Like that's the issue. I'm on 6 a lot. So I'm just like, why? What does this do for me? It's just a dead card when I play with this, so I can't use it. So I don't have any experience with this one at all.
Yeah. I think if you learn how to play with this, maybe you can integrate it in some way or another. But usually my take on it is that if you wanted to be leveling, you would have already leveled, and you don't want to be waiting until this lowers your tavern tier cost, because you want that Eliza now, you want that Caligos now, right? You want to go to tier 6 to get those cards early. And yeah, like maybe there is some setup where like you're tier 4 gaming and then you use this, but then again, like, what's the point, right? Like maybe you can get Amalgadons, I guess, to like slow tier to 6.
What if it
Yeah.
was like reduce the cost by 3 and like so immediately you use this, it reduces by 3 and then it
Oh,
also does it.
so that's essentially just like a free money pirate if you were planning on tearing up.
Yeah, something like that. But then it also has that ability. You'd probably have to change it where it just reduces at the beginning of the turn as well. So like
Yeah, it'd be good, I think,
it'd
or
be
it'd be
good.
pickable. It wouldn't be on the house, right? But it'd be pickable where you'd use this to go to 5 to then go to
Yeah,
6.
to go to 5 and then go to 6, exactly.
Yeah.
So it would just be so it'd basically just be 6 gold over 2
Yeah.
turns. Yeah.
2 money pirates.
Yeah. Pickable. I think that would be pickable, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know if that'd be too strong, right? But I don't know. No one I
I
don't
mean, on
see
the
it.
house is a card.
Yeah.
On the house is a card.
That's true.
We don't have to worry about it being too strong.
Well, that's so true. All right, you're right. I agree. But yeah, I think that might make it playable. But I'm pretty much always on 5 or 6, so I just never can use it. I just can't use it. It just
Yeah,
doesn't
I
work
don't.
for me.
I don't
Yeah.
think it.
Next card we're talking about is Gruul Rules. I actually like this one in terms of like stats. I actually like this one. This one is like, okay. Sometimes I have a Divine Shield minion, I put on Divine Shield, or I put on the Cleave, and then I'm like, oh, well, it's a +6/+6 at this point. Oh, it's +8/8. Oh, it's +10/10. And I'm like, huh. You know, the only one bad times, not the one, but like sometimes it's like too late. I don't know why, but like it feels like, oh, this is too late for me. I can't take this. Like, but other than that, and I have a Divine Shield minion, it's okay. Sometimes I picked it when I didn't even have Divine Shield minions. I didn't like it, but I'm just like, well, I don't like the other stuff. So there's been worse options where I'm like, I don't like the other stuff, so I'm gonna take this, and I have nothing to put it on, or like I have like a 2/4 brand is the only thing I know I'm keeping. No, I don't think I took it then. If that no, I know I've taken this when I didn't like the other options. So there have been worse. There are worse options here, but I don't hate the card in essence as well.
For me, it's a definition of I'll take it.
Yeah,
It's just like, yeah,
I will take it. Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's
I'll
playable.
Sure, why not? I'll slap it on there. But sometimes you'll take the 5/5 just because
Mm-hmm.
I need the power right
Yeah,
now. So that
yeah.
does happen.
I've had those too, and I'm like, well, that's 2 turns, you know, or oh, I really need the taunt or something like that. So I have seen the other one just be the better pick out of the two, but I don't hate the card. I think this is okay. Would I buff it? No, I don't think I would. I think it's okay, right? Where it's at. Don't hate it. Um, finally, thank God. I'm still just around the cade. Delete this card or change it. Someone suggested a change in my last stream, which I thought was okay. But as it is right now, delete this card. This card sucks. I've never seen anyone take it, and I've never wanted to take it. And I don't understand why it's in there, even as a 4-drop. I mean, it used to be a tier 3? Like I just like, wow, I can't believe that. But even as tier 2, never see it. I hate it.
I've taken it one time when I was playing Vol'jin Groundshaker. Because it kind of made sense there. I just like pumped the attack and it was already huge, and I just had this like insanely high attack bronze warden where I'm just like, all right, this thing is poison divine shield now. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. It was just like extremely
Fringe case.
Yeah, right. We're talking,
and that's because you didn't get on the house. You didn't get.
yeah. We're talking Vol'jin Groundshakers very
Yeah.
specifically because I could transfer a huge amount of attack. But yeah, I'm not even sure if it was good. It's still
you have like a 60/60 bronze one. You're like, well, 120. You know, it's like whatever. You're already, it's already good. Like you don't have to worry about that kind of thing. But yeah, I think this card does not belong here at all. It's just a waste of a slot, basically. At its current iteration, whenever I see it, I'm just like, well, I only got 2 choices this game, so it just hurts. I really don't like the card at all. Someone suggested it's double a minion stats. Instead of just attack, you also do the health. And I was like, is that too strong, right? Like,
that's way too good, in my opinion.
But you know, on the houses on the
yeah, but now we're talking like, oh, my battle master just punk. Like,
oh my Gruul, you know, oh my
god, dude.
Like you could okay, what if you move this to tier 3 again and double the stats?
Double the stats. I think double the stats is a tier 4 thing. That's like
no one gets to tier 4. But you already have Argent Braggot for tier 4 double stats. You know, so
yeah, but he doesn't double the stats, right?
He matches the highest attack, so
yeah.
it's, you know, it's kind of the same.
So I feel like it's on that level, right? It's crazy how insane it suddenly becomes when you factor in the health, but attack is just at some point is just saturated. You have enough.
What if you double the health? Is that still too good?
That's still really good, right?
I
I mean,
agree.
obviously, it becomes a lot more difficult because it doesn't automatically give anything attack, but doubling the health is still very good.
It's still good, right? But I would be okay with health over attack. I think attack is like whatever, unplayable even. Health, I would say is very playable, right? But would that be too good? That's the question. I don't know.
You'd move it up a tier, I think.
If you
That's
double the
health.
health, you'd move it up a tier.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Be fair. But right as it is right now, I hate it. I think it's
Yeah,
absolutely
that's
god awful.
unacceptable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it needs to be changed or removed. Removed or changed. Right now, it's just a waste of a slot. Game right now, so yeah, not something I want to see. 0 out of 5. I would put it even negative. It actively hurts you. Actually, it's worse than 0, because when you see it, it actively hurts you. You have less choice. So this card just
Oh, Collins, stop! It's already dead. It's already dead.
I dislike this card quite a lot. So yes, not a fan. But yeah. All right, moving on. Change the card. On the house. Oh yeah, on the house. Well, speaking of
Yeah.
actively hurts you, this does not. This is pretty much what everyone was worried about when they reintroduced prizes, right? This is the prize, and we were shocked it wasn't changed at all. There was no costs associated or any changes. So still has that same problem, like you still go to 6, get 6 jobs. The nice thing is Elise isn't in the game at two cost maps, so you don't get guaranteed double 6s, but people can still triple. So it's not like they can't double 6, but it's not like
Still
it's
get
free.
crazy turns.
Ticketus, it's pretty fun when you get 2 of them. It's always fun. But other than that, it's a pretty good card.
It's just there's no competition with this
No,
card. That's the
no,
thing.
yeah, nothing else is on the same power level.
It's so good. Even if you're, like let's say you're stuck on tier 4.
I still take it. It's funny.
Pulling a module, right? Pulling a module is like so insane.
That's so
right?
true.
You can get your third harbinger or whatnot. It's just
I've been stuck on tier 4 and be like, oh well, the others still suck. I still take the on the house. It's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's very weird how impactful this one is compared to the other ones. So yeah, I don't know how you change it. Right, we suggested like making it 1 gold. I don't know how balanced that would be, right? But I mean, it would still be picked. I would still pick it at times. So even then, but it would be weird that this is the only one prize that costs gold. But,
yeah, I'm not sure if they want to keep it simple, right? So if they started to do things,
I don't
this
know.
price costs this gold, this price costs that much gold.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that really makes a lot of sense. Like, like we can understand. Oh yeah, this costs 1 more gold. But
Me Hearthstone player, me stupid. Me no understand why token deal 1 damage.
I don't understand, to be fair. I really don't. But yeah,
no, yeah. I guess they just like that there is this like high roll thing where you feel like you get lucky, where that might just be the philosophy behind it. Because from a pure balance standpoint, like it makes no sense to have this one just insane card and then the rest is stuff you settle for at best.
pretty much. It's like the only real prize that you're looking for on 2. Right? The other ones you're like maybe Brand's Blessing sometimes if you have the right setup, you'd be like, oh, I want to hit this. But the other ones you're like, I don't care. Like,
yeah, I'd be like, oh man, I sure hope it's Gruul.
yeah, yeah, right.
Oh man, if we get a Gruul, I'm so strong.
Yeah, like none of them else have that effect. I've seen, I mean, some other ones where if you're lucky, you're like, oh, this is really situationally good, but this one is like, oh, I always take. Like if there's always on the house in my slots, I'll always, pretty much always take it, right? Like there's not a lot. no other tier 2 prize that works like that, where I'm like, oh, always time thief in my slots. I'm not always taking that. Like, no, but so it's just this one I can put a 5 out of 5 in. Oh yes, the other ones I can't. This one I can actually put a rating for, and it makes sense. Yeah, this is definitely a strong prize. So remove rat. Anyways, let's move on. The bouncer. We've kind of talked about this sporadically, just because it's very similar to Gruel's rules, but it's
Two and a half turns essentially.
yeah, it's immediate application and taunt. So the taunt has actually been relevant. I thought that was interesting, right? With the addition of taunt comp and stuff like that. Now I'm seeing the taunt, I'm like, oh yeah, I like taunt. I like, that's good. Taunt's good, here. So, the one that sticks out to me is the Bolvar, where I'm running arm comp. I needed a taunt. I found hit Bolvar, put on the Bolvar, immediate 6/12. Very, very, very solid stat line with arm. So, also with cleaves and stuff like that is also sometimes good. It's a little bit worse for cleave because you don't want to taunt your cleave, but if it's not your only taunt or you have nothing else that has any value, right? And at least cleave, you have some value if it goes.
Yeah,
so,
I just put it first and hope you go first instead of it getting sniped.
Yeah, I mean sometimes with the +5/+5 you don't get one shot, so that is there. So there is some value there. So it is pickable. I think it's one of the pickable picks. It's not like insanely crazy, but I definitely pick it up sometimes, and I'm like, okay, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, so I mean, one of the better ones, I guess, on average. Just sometimes all you need is tempo, and you'll grab it.
I actually don't know if it's the better one on average, right? Like I think it prevents you from dying immediately, but it doesn't prevent you from dying like the turn after that, right? Like
it might be the thing that allows you to go to 6, for instance, and then you get return immediately after that by being on 6. So I think for that reason, for me at least, it's one of the better ones where you're like, all right, I didn't get on the house. What's the game plan now? Am I giving up or what are we doing? It's like, am I still trying to win the game? If I'm still trying to win the game, then be like, all right.
I've given up. I don't see on the house. The game's over.
Just roll over. Yeah. No house. We're dead.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's pickable, but it's not like an insane card, and it falls off, right? Like obviously, right, because you're getting immediate stats. Where Gruel, I mean, at least you're getting value over time. This one you get value immediately, so you have to do something with it, otherwise you're gonna fall off hard. So you just have to be aware that you can't rely on this card to carry you to the next prize. Like it doesn't do that. So you just have to make sure you're using the stats in some way, right? Either leveling or either making a comp that works well with the extra stat line or something. Otherwise it can fall off, so you just have to be aware of that. But it is pickable, so not hating on the card at all. Next topic or next card, we have the unlimited coin. I probably take this a lot. I feel I take this card a lot just because I don't like the other options. I guess maybe that's the reason, but I take this card quite a bit just because I don't know it. I don't know why I take it, but I end up taking it. I've probably played this the most, except for On the House. Maybe if this would be like number 2 for me in terms of how much I pick it. Maybe not how much I rate it, but I take this a lot just because.
I think it's a bit more indeed indicative of how you rate cards. So you're like, like value. It's never gonna be dead. You're always gonna have that one extra gold. I think it fairly rarely, but it does happen. And for me, it's the same reasoning. But I guess I'll just take the gold. I'm usually someone that really values that immediate tempo spike. So I'll be taking bouncer most likely. I'll be taking evolving on the house, obviously, right? Even the gruel, I'll take the +2/+2 over the coin. So I'm not sure. I guess great deal and rats or what else is like something you really wouldn't want to see.
Maybe Time Thief. in the wrong
Yeah, Time Thief. Yeah, okay. You'll like, but then you can also argue. I guess with Time Thief, I will look at my next opponent and be like, if that looks juicy, I'll probably hold as well, and just like grab it. But yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, so I don't know. I play with this card a lot. I don't think it's amazing, to be fair. But sometimes I just have it, and it's have an extra gold, right? It's probably because like I don't know. I like fixing the curve and having an extra gold every turn. It's like, oh, I could fix this. I don't have to sell this minion in my hand to have the gold. Oh, I can just keep it. So I'll have like a coin and like two cards in my hand. just like just utilizing, waiting for that right moment where I can like cash in and like power spike. But um, I wouldn't say it's a good or like a easy to use one because you do have to. It's not immediate power spike. You do have to find that one turn or something, or like I'll level or something with that extra gold, and then I'll use that extra gold to like roll once and see if I can hit
Yeah,
a six.
sometimes the money, if the money lines up super well on the first turn, you're like, okay, cool. The rest is bonus. All I needed was just one gold.
One
Here.
gold, yeah. I mean, that's one way of looking at it. But yeah. Anyways, that is I don't know what to say about this one. I pick it, but I don't know how to rate it. If that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
it's because on the house is so good it dwarfs everything else that I can't rate anything that's not on the house or rat. I know what rat is, and I know what on the house is now. Everything else, like I don't know.
On a scale from rat to on the house, how much you want?
Pretty much, that's kind of how I'm looking at it. So yeah, it's kind of weird. Next one we're talking about is Time Thief. We did talk about it just recently. So this one's also situational, right? Depends on your opponent. You did mention you can see what your next opponent is and see if you can take something from them, and that's interesting, right? Usually you want to spike that turn, but if you think, oh, your opponent is playing Omu, just like I'm gonna take some damage, but at least I have
One
a
of the
game
6
plan.
drops will be mine.
Yeah, at least you have a game plan. So it is something you can look for if you don't have a good start and you don't see anything you want and you don't like what you're offered. At least you can say, I'll fight the next guy and see if they can give me some type of direction. So it
I
has that.
played test today,
Mhm.
and this is pretty good on test because
Yeah, I
you
guess.
can grab a pair straight away. Like my turn was so good, Collins. You would have loved it. My Tavern was Brand Murazant. So first it was play Brand, play Murazant, get some cards. Then it was play Time Thieves, see which one I pull, and then it's Hero Power, and then just like ooh, triple, triple, triple. It was just because you're getting all the same cards over and over and over again. So specifically on test, this is actually kind of cool because you get at minimum a pair, and if it's a card you have, it's a triple, and if it's a card they have two of, it's also a triple. So yeah, very specifically on tests, I rate this quite highly just because it's really cool to get two of or three of, depending on how many they have.
And also just get Brandmers on. Yeah, and I know
Yeah, just get that.
he's ignoring that part, but that's also pretty important.
Well, okay. So, for instance, my opponent had Harbinger, right?
Okay.
So, like, it's quite often where people have two Harbingers.
Yeah,
So,
true.
if you can time thief one Harbinger in Hero Power, you just get a golden Harbinger straight away and a 6-drop or a 4 or 5, depending where you want.
Yeah. This with Tez is reasonable. I
Yeah.
agree. It's one of those good prizes for sure. So.
But yeah, overall, definitely not super high on this, right? Don't get me wrong, but it's just because today it worked out really well. I did make a golden harbinger.
Of course you did.
Surprise, surprise. That turns out golden harbinger is pretty good for just power leveling.
Such a shady thing to do.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh right, yeah. Like also sometimes you're just gonna fight someone that you know has the nuts, right? Someone that tripled extremely early. Like in chat, there's Galacron that's being mentioned. Great example, right? Where you're like, oh wow, this guy just had an Eliza, right? And maybe not even a full board, so you know that you're fairly likely to steal specifically the Eliza. So yeah. Very, very dependent. Like I said, the second wave of prizes, the tier
And
2
very
prizes,
situational. Yeah.
so like, oh, it totally depends, right? Like cards can be dead or the best thing in the pool all of a sudden.
That's That's not what we're looking for when you're looking for game deciding prizes, you know. Either dead or best in the pool, right? Like that's not what you recommend for these prizes, right? Because a lot of the prizes, they decide the game, right? More than sometimes what you're picking up, right? It's like, do you get the right spike? Do you get the right six, right? So when you're getting offered and you're like, oh, this prize doesn't do anything, it's very situational here, right? And you're just like, why didn't I just get the one that is never situational, right? It kind of feels bad. I don't know how you would adjust some of these prizes, right? And one thing you could do is just tone down the OP prizes, right? Where they're all situational, you know, where it's like, okay.
Sure.
The other way is to just like, even if you nerfed, let's say you nerfed on the house and it was like you only get to choose from two, right? Like they did with
Yeah.
I'd still take it. Like that wouldn't
For sure.
change it, like that wouldn't, so like it's like, how would you actually change it where it's
I'd probably
playable?
just remove it.
Just
I think
remove it, yeah.
you can remove that in Evo, and then suddenly everything is so close together. Where
And the rat,
like,
and the rat, please.
sure,
Okay.
whatever, get rid of the rat.
And then I agree. And then it's a little bit more balanced. It's funny because I think the good stuff's better than some of these. You know.
It's so true. Well, but the same thing with flag, right? With the old flag, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, especially because you get it that early, it's just so good.
Yeah. So it's a little rough. That would change the prize meta if you would remove on the house and evolving, and then the rat. What would you do? It would be like rules would be the pick. Oh, I get something that skills. Oh
Some
wow.
like nutty brand turns as well.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. People would pick.
Coin probably suddenly looks okay-ish.
Okay,
Where you're
yeah.
like, whatever, I'll take an extra gold.
That's true, right? The problem with some of these prizes as well is that you're fighting people with on the house, like that's, you can't avoid that. And if everyone who's seizing is taking it, right? So you can't appreciate like an extra coin a turn when you know you're taking 20 from the person with on the house. You know, it's like, what is there to appreciate? So if you did remove some of them, it would make some of them also look a little bit better in hindsight as well. Interesting. But yeah, I think those are all the tier 2 prizes. We have like a top 3 and a bottom 3 or bottom 1, you know, if you want to add that in there as well. Yeah, shit.
So this one is super difficult, right?
Right, yeah. I
So
agree.
on the house is the easy number one.
Yeah.
And then I think just in sheer amount of times it just saves my ass Brand's blessing, but it could also just be awful.
Yeah,
Right.
that's
So
true.
I
The
guess for
rest are
me,
situational. I agree. Okay, let's,
yeah,
like,
it's
on the house
typical.
is clear and then the rest just depend.
Yeah, it's like Brand Evo and the 5-5.
And never
Brand
take
Evo
rat.
thing.
Never
Yeah,
take
don't
rat.
take Rad.
I just wanna I'm drilling it in you guys' heads.
Just making sure,
Yeah.
right?
The percentage is going down to 0, you know. It's not 0. But
It's
yeah,
like some of you are taking this prize. I want to know who. I want to get names.
you told me you ticked it once, shit. You're on the
That's
you're,
true. I'm on the list. Take this one time.
yeah.
Guilty
But,
as charged.
but yeah, I do think the other ones are a little bit more situational. It doesn't mean the other ones are bad, but it's not something you can always rely on providing value for you. You know, evolving tavern can provide value, but same way it can also bait you, and also, you know, you're not guaranteed to get a good 6, and you're not guaranteed to roll a 5 to get a 6. Even you can spend your whole turn doing nothing. Great deal is tough to do because a lot of times if you're wanting to use it, you're already high tavern tier, and if you're low tavern tier, it's a little bit slow. Grills rules sometimes scales, but you need the right minion that you're going to keep the rest of the game, and it also has a skill. Um, Bouncer, you need the right target. You also have to be playing the right comp or making sure you're using it correctly, the level or whatever. Coin is just 1 coin per turn, so when people are getting on the house and you're getting 1 coin, it doesn't really feel that you're getting any value at all because they're hitting you for 20 and you're like, well, at least I have a coin. The coin doesn't do anything. Yeah, but it can be good sometimes if you have the right setup or you need that extra gold. But yeah, Time Thief also depends if you're hitting a person who has a good board that you can take something from, or if you're going to fight someone who has a good board that you know you're going to take something good from. But other than that, it doesn't really do anything, especially if you're fighting someone who is a little bit weaker than you. So yeah, a little bit situational. So for the two, just ratting on the house. Situationally good and situationally awful. So yeah, those are the ones we're talking about. Now, Shahir, imagine we did all the prizes. Like,
oh god,
yeah.
Give me out.
That's I realized real quickly this would not be a short stream. You know, I've been trying.
See you next week, calls.
I've been trying to squeeze in making it. Oh, it's been very long recently. Let's lower it, and then every time it's like, well, this is longer than the one we had before. Yeah, so yeah, it made sense to me. But I think that'll be our topic for this week. Do you have anything else you want to talk about, prizes or anything like that?
Nothing in particular, just fun, having still a lot of fun with the meta. I think that, like, we can't forget that there is an immense change on the way. For anyone who has missed that announcement, they're going to be revamping a ton of cards. I think they estimated the amount to 35 or so.
Or more.
I think 20. Yeah, like 35 cards that are, or let's say 25 minimum, like 25 to 35 or potentially more cards that are being replaced, changed, stuff. So yeah, probably the biggest Battlegrounds change we have seen so far. That is going to be.
We say that every time, though. I don't believe it.
Do we say that every time?
Yes, we do.
Well, that is because
came in. This is the biggest change. Then the other one's like, wow, that was insane. That was the biggest change. Now this one.
For real though, for real.
Oh my god.
No, but it made big patches recently, right? I think it's because you have this like string of patches where it's just like, all right, this bad hero is slightly less bad. Let's go, right? Or like OP hero removed, and then they like drop you an actual patch with like, like I still think the previous patch was amazing in terms of the volume, right? Like buffing Edwin and like Maiev is back, but it's bad now. Okay. Like I was talking to my chat, right, where I had a selection screen where it was Maiev and Bran. I'm like, try to explain this to me 3 months ago that I'm picking a Bran here. Like I wouldn't understand. Like I'm snapping the Bran over Maiev, and I'm just like, just try me, chat. Like 3 months ago, try to explain to me that this is the pick.
What if is there a way to fix Maiev? Like, what if the stats were bigger, like 2 + 2 + 2 instead? That I don't think that would do anything with it. It's just so long. It's so long. I know it.
A small margin for error on her now. She feels like a Yashiraj right now, where things can go right and then you pop off. Same thing with Yashiraj. Things can go right, but if they don't, you're dead.
Yeah.
So dead,
You're
right?
You're
so dead. Yeah. So yeah. And I think honestly, it was funny, right? Because I was talking about it. And I think on the stats, she's pretty much like right above or right beneath Yashiraj. Was like, yeah, it feels about right. It's really a high roll hero now. Like you just need to, you just need to hit the triple insanely fast so that you just get it fast. You need to like roll a bunch of micro enemies to stay alive, and yeah, it's just not a good time right now.
That's fair. Yeah. Anyways, that is gonna be our podcast for this week. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm glad you guys are here to enjoy it. You guys don't get to see my suffering as I'm making the topics and stuff. Shady has the nicest time. Doesn't have to do anything.
Just have to wait here. Collins late and all that.
I was actually sad about being late, but yeah, thanks. Regardless, thanks for being here. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for sticking around.
I have a great time as always, Collins, and thank you for all the work you put in to make sure we can do this every week.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It still hurts. I'm still in pain while I do it, but I appreciate the nice comments anyway. But you can send us feedback at hsbgpodcast@gmail.com if you guys have any interesting placements that you want to show. We got one that someone sent to us, but I didn't have time to put it in. I was going to, but then I realized I would be like even later, which I was already late, and I was like, I can't can't find the time to do all that work. But yeah, but thanks for putting some feedback and stuff like that. And we'll see you guys next week. Take care of yourselves and have a wonderful rest of your day. You know where to find us. Yes.
That
All
they
right.
do.